everyone, this is Maggie from Bloomsburg University. Today I'm interviewing Dr. Laura Mock, and she's a professor here in the Eggs Department at Bloomsburg University of Pennsylvania. So today's topic is new media technologies and their influences. So to start off, of the following platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Which accounts do you have?
I have a Facebook account, and I use YouTube, but I don't have an account. And that would be it.
Okay. And how often would you say you use these social media platforms?
I use YouTube many times a week, sometimes for very personal things like, I don't know, looking up how to iron a curtain or something that obscure. And other times I use it to find articles for work, news articles. Facebook, I'm very sporadic about. I sometimes find that I'm quite interested in checking in daily, and other times I'll go several weeks without checking in. So I can't really generalize. But, it's on and off with Facebook.
Okay. And how often would you say you use them? You said only like quite frequently on and off.
Yeah, I suppose I actually use YouTube more consistently and more often.
Okay.
Although I don't use it to communicate with other people. I have never posted.
Do you have your own channel, or no? You just go to look?
No, I just go to look. Yeah.
So what's your earliest memory since these social media platforms have been so new recently? What's like your earliest memory of hearing about or signing up for a social media account?
That's funny because I do remember my good friend Pamela, and she told me about them. We all had young kids, toddlers or preschoolers, and she told me about this Facebook thing, and I heard about it, and I really had no interest. And I remember her saying that her husband had complained it was like pornography for women. They got addicted to it. And that, of course, that analogy of calling it female porn stuck with me. I mean, I get it. Women would, especially then, we would all post pictures of our kids way too much. And
the privacy thing was a worry.
It wasn't a worry at that point. Yeah, at that point, it's still, to be perfectly, I'm not overly worried about the privacy thing. I mean, I know it's an issue, but I sort of have given up on it.
Okay, and how would you say social media has impacted your life or those you think around you?
Oh, in a nice way, for the most part. Well, no, I guess if I really think that one through, in a positive way, it has really helped me reconnect with people from different eras of my life. And people from, for example, the town I grew up in, whom I hadn't spoken with in decades. Now we actually have a sense of, almost a daily sense of what's going on in each other's lives. And otherwise, we simply would not have that kind of connection at all. And on Facebook also, I see daily interactions with the women I went to college with. And that's really, so all my worlds come together on Facebook, which is a very interesting thing to see. So I see my very traditional neighbors versus my very liberal college mates. Sometimes it's rather bizarre, the juxtaposition. But so in that way, I'm very grateful for that reconnection with lots of people. The negative, I don't think it's done very good things for our society as a whole. I don't think it's done anything for our politics and for our unity as our country. I think having all of us, there are now 325 megaphones in the United States, and I don't like what I'm seeing happening in terms of people perhaps not filtering their thoughts before they spread them.
And you said you weren't that worried about your privacy, but do you ever let students follow you or friend you on Facebook?
It doesn't happen very often. I've very occasionally had a former student request to find me, and sure. And I've never bothered to hide my Facebook account. Anyone who wants to could go and find me on Facebook. And my feeling is, again, I'm not, perhaps I'm being naive, but I don't think I post anything that I'm really worried about other people knowing. I guess I've never been terribly private anyhow. Now, having said that, I'm fully, talk about privacy, I am fully aware of the economic privacy and the consumer privacy. And again, I appreciate that I've given that up. For example, my parents, who are both 75, refused to get their own Facebook account. But they're interested in Facebook. So they use my Facebook account.
Oh, okay.
They log in and check in on all the news from my hometown where I grew up. And it's kind of bizarre because they also then could see what my college friends are posting, which is nothing scandalous. But my father in particular is a classic retired old man who has nothing better to do. And he checks Facebook much more than I do. So both of their computers are linked up to my Facebook account. And as a result, when I log into any platform, whether it be YouTube or even if I'm on the internet, I see ads for things that they've been looking at. So I have a really good sense of what they've been shopping for lately. And similarly, they must know what I've been shopping for because we all are sharing the same Facebook account. So
wow.
Yeah, so I'm fully aware that when it comes to what did I see just recently? Oh, I got an advertisement on my email in school here, and it was saying things you might be interested in, and it was pretty spooky because it was exactly things that I've been looking at. It's similar to things that I've been looking at. So yeah, I blame a lot of that on Facebook.
Yeah, definitely, they're tracking what we're doing.
Yeah. So I can live with that, but I appreciate it's the price that I paid to use Facebook. Yeah.
And you said before in class that you have children. Did you get a Facebook initially to like friend your children? My mom got it because she wanted to friend me on Facebook initially.
My son is he has a YouTube account and he has a Twitter account. Twitter is still a complete mystery to me, and Instagram. I only see them referenced on the news, and I'm mildly concerned. I've always been mildly concerned about his use of the internet because he does communicate with a lot of people, and I don't have control. But for example, when it comes to Twitter, my father-in-law is obsessed with Twitter. So he kind of tracks where, as best as he can, what my son's doing. And to date, it appears to be fairly innocent. We'll see how long that stays.
And do you have a basic understanding of like what the difference between Twitter and Instagram are? Or what they, like the platforms of what they do?
I mean, Instagram I associate more with photographs, and Twitter, however many characters it now is. And again, I would not know nearly as much about Twitter as I do if it weren't for the news now basically using Twitter as news. And just now I was reading news about the shooting in California, and part of the article was, that wonderful young senators from California. Anyhow, her Twitter response to this was in the article. So
yeah, they're included a lot on newspaper articles.
Yeah, so that's how I'm familiar with Twitter. Yeah.
And it's not even like they need to call and get a quote anymore. They can just go on social media platforms and pull word for word what they're saying.
Yeah, nobody can complain because that is what they've said, whether it was a smart thing to put out there or not.
So what do you believe the future of social media holds? Or where do you see it going, like in any direction?
I guess I really can't begin to imagine. Although the reality is Facebook has been around about 10 years. So it means it's probably been around longer, but I think it's generally used for about 10 years, and it hasn't changed that much. It almost seems to me like, I think Facebook came before Twitter, but I couldn't lay money on that. It seems like what has evolved is largely imitations or versions of Facebook. So I don't know. I do wonder if at some point people might start to lose interest. I mean, I know I have over the years. I'm not as interested in Facebook. But yet again, and I am concerned about where it ultimately is going to take us as a people and as a culture in terms of, you'd think it would bring us closer, but so far, as far as I'm concerned, in many ways it's had just the opposite effect. So I can't predict. It does concern me, though, yeah. As a culture, not personally. But
as a culture. Yeah. That's for the general public, so. Yeah. So how do you stay current with news media technologies? Do you usually hear of them through friends? Is that where you initially heard it, or you just kind of saw it on the internet one day?
What do you mean by news media technologies?
Basically, if you're learning about different social medias.
Okay.
So, or any other ways, if you ever heard of Feedly, it's an app that you use to get, you can apply to subscribe to like the New York Times, Huffington Post, and it basically pulls all the major stories from different newspapers and puts them on your Feedly, and you can like see how different like newspapers are covering a certain situation.
Now, when you say feed, do you mean Twitter feed? Or?
Well, so it's a whole app as itself. It's called
okay,
Feedly.
so their own.
Yeah,
feed.
so that's kind of like an example of media technology.
Okay.
So anything that you kind of use that is basically on your computer, on your phone, the internet, not only limited to social media. But if we're saying pertaining to social media, how do you stay like on top of new social medias that are coming out?
I don't. When it comes to apps and interfaces like that, generally it's been through things I've learned from friends or relatives.
Okay.
I'm not out there exploring them, and I rarely even download an app, although occasionally I do. But yeah, so mostly I learned by following someone else's example, someone else in my circle of intimates, basically.
Word of mouth, basically.
Yeah, word of mouth. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Mock, for taking the time to speak to me today about your beliefs on social media, where you think it's going to be heading, what media outlets are going to end up. So that's all the time we have for today, and it's Maggie signing off.
Thanks. Okay, you can check that off your list.
Thank you so much again. I really appreciate it.